I'm Tash from The Loving Lifestyle, a channel dedicated to helping you live your best life. Today we're talking about a book called Captivate by Vanessa Van Edwards. I've noticed over the last few years I haven't really actively made many new friends, and any who I did make, I didn't really put in the effort to keep in contact with. It wasn't that I didn't like them, it's simply that maintaining relationships is hard, and I've never been very good at multitasking. I'm not the kind of girl who has 4 group chats buzzing at the same time, who makes plans every single weekend with different groups of friends. I have a few amazing close friends who it never feels hard to interact with, maybe because we've known each other long enough or because we've gone through enough of life together that we just understand each other, and for that I'm grateful. But recently I found myself yearning for more from people. More conversations, more insights, more meaningful discussion. But it takes a certain kind of person to have those kind of candid conversations with, and I'm searching for those people in my life. But the only way I'm going to find them is by putting myself out there and opening myself to opportunities to listen to and learn from new people. This is where Captivate steps in. Now you might be thinking, is a global pandemic really the time to start going out looking for friendships? It's not there's any parties going on, I can't invite anyone to brunch, and I can't even chat to the person in the queue because they're 2 meters in front of me. But I'm a serial planner, and for me, it's all in the run-up to the event. Behind the scenes, I'm in training. As soon as the travel ban lifts, I'm due to be moving, which means I'm going to be thrown straight into the deep end of meeting new people. I'm going to have no long-term friendships to fall back on when I'm needing a night of card games and gin or just a spontaneous boogie. So I've either got to put myself out there and meet new people or just become a total hermit. The first section of Captivate focuses on the first 5 minutes after meeting someone new. The first impressions, how you hold yourself, small talk, and those first few questions you exchange whilst you both decide whether or not you think this is a relationship worth pursuing. In this section, I really learned the importance of confidence when interacting with new people. I've always been somewhat shy, and honestly, small talk just makes me want to go lock myself in the bathroom. But from reading Captivate, I've noticed some of the main points that I need to focus on from now on. So firstly, making sure I walk into a room with confidence and a smile. Before this, I honestly just got into an awful habit of just looking at the floor when I walked into a gathering, a party, even a coffee shop. I think honestly I just wanted to be invisible, and for me this was the closest thing to it. But I've since realised that the more uncomfortable and shy that you look, the more you actually stand out. You're better off walking into that room with a smile and just having a look around. Small talk has also always been a major no-no for me. I think honestly I just hate answering those questions myself. How's school? Are you working? How's the family? And since I found it so boring to answer, I often never asked people those questions back, which now looking back probably made me look like a total snob who wasn't interested in what anyone else had to say, which simply wasn't the case. It's not that I'm not interested, I'm more interested in people's insights, in how they think, in what their lifestyle holds, rather than what their A-level grades were or what graduate scheme they're on. Vanessa teaches us some conversation sparkers and also how to hit people's hot topic buttons. So a hot topic button is basically that one subject that someone could talk about forever. So for me, it's my dogs or baking. For my brother, it's computers. Everyone has that one thing that they're just so passionate about, and when you ask them, they could just ramble about it forever. If you seem interested, then they are happy to talk about it. So I wrote down a few of my favourite questions from the section, but I actually tailored them to the global situation and also just to my lifestyle and how I interact with people. So I'm going to try a few out on you, and I'd love to hear your responses down below in the comments. Number 1, do you have anything on your bucket list now that you've had time to reflect during the lockdown? Number 2, I'll be looking for a good movie to watch with my family. Can you recommend me one? And thirdly, I'm always looking for new recipe inspiration. What's your favourite thing to cook at the moment? So they are some great conversation sparkers for me, but you can also hit people's hot topic buttons. When trying to hit people's hot topic buttons, ask them questions that you enjoy answering. For example, I love talking about my dogs. Ask them if they have any pets and see where the conversation goes. If they don't have an answer, ask them what else they like to do in their spare time, something that they've been focusing on during the lockdown. Ask what their favourite self-care practice is. Ask what intrigues them about human behaviour. These are all things which could trigger hot topic buttons in people that you didn't even know that they had. Section 2 looks at the first 5 hours. How to interact with people in order to better understand them. Here we look at how to subtly read people, personality traits, appreciation languages, and what values people hold closest. This section had the biggest impact on me by far. I had so many light bulb moments whilst reading this section. In this section, Vanessa includes a lot of questionnaires and challenges for you to do to discover your own personality types, appreciation languages, and values, but you can also use them to discover those of your friends and family as well. So what I did is I screenshotted the questionnaires and I sent them to friends and family members, but then I also tried to answer them myself as if I was that person. And when I got the results back, I had a little look and saw where we had different ideas of what that person enjoyed, like where my idea of what they value most was actually wrong. And that's so important when you're trying to look at where you got disconnect with people in your life. But it's also important in looking at the differences that you hold from what your friend holds as well. For example, if you have a friend who really values quality time, but you're an introvert and you much prefer acts of service, there's obviously going to be some disconnect there if you're not giving that person what they want out of your friendship. So by discovering these different values that different friends and people in your life hold, you'll actually know where to put in a little bit more effort with people in certain areas in order to make them feel more satisfied with your friendship. Finding out what makes people tick really changes the way you interact with them and can help you strengthen your connection with just a few subtle changes in how you interact. The final section of Captivate looks at the first 5 hours. How to connect, lead and inspire others. How to make these relationships last and let go of those not worth holding. Vanessa talks a lot about the power of stories and letting ourselves be vulnerable in order to forge lasting relationships with those we meet. She talks about addressing and dispelling your fears and the self-sabotage that can happen when you're placed outside of your comfort zone. She calls this our gremlins. One particular sentence in this section stood out for me the most. Vanessa says, "We strive to be perfect so others will like us, but don't like people who try too hard to be perfect." I can hands up tell you now that I absolutely hate showing people my imperfections, and I'm sure that most of you feel exactly the same way. Even when filming this video, I'm filtering through all the judgment in my head that I could get for this. No one cares what she has to say. Who does she think she is? And by putting myself out there, I'm making myself vulnerable to literally one of my biggest fears. However, this section helped me address those gremlins and showed me that those people worth holding close aren't those who judge in that way. And by being vulnerable and putting myself out there, I will attract more worthy relationships into my life. As Vanessa says, yes, there will be people who won't welcome your vulnerability. And yes, you might even get people who try to use your weaknesses against you. But you know what? I think that's worth the risk. The way people respond to your honesty instantly shows you whether they're the kind of people you want to have in your life. Each chapter in Captivate ends with a review where you can note down your biggest takeaways and also sets you some challenges so that you can action what you've learned in your real life, which I think is so important because there's no point in reading a multitude of self-growth books if you're not actually going to put what you learn into practice. Captivate made me address my own shortcomings in relationships and also new interactions. The last section really resonated with me and brought to mind so many instances in my life, especially when I was travelling, where I chose not to engage or reach out for fear of being boring or having nothing to say in return or not knowing the right questions to ask people. And a huge one for me, knowing how to keep my boundaries clear whilst interacting with strangers. I'm sure I've missed out on some amazing conversations and relationships by closing myself off to new experiences and new interactions in order to protect myself from my gremlins. But after reading and actioning the advice in this book, I know how to make sure that I won't let opportunities to connect with people pass me by again. Vanessa calls herself a recovering awkward person, and that is something that I can really relate to and that I want to recover from as well. If you are someone who, like me, struggles with social interactions, feels awkward and uncomfortable a lot of the time, but wants to make a positive change without faking extroversion, then this book is definitely for you. Practical advice, real-life examples from someone who felt and feels the same way that you do now. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and I hope that you feel inspired. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell on the way out, and also meet me down in the comments and answer some of those questions from earlier. I'll see you next week or over on my Instagram at The Loving Lifestyle Blog.